Okay, today it's a big one. We're talking about forgiveness, boundaries, and reconciliation. And we're just gonna free talk this. This is something that I've learned recently. And again, shout out to ChatGPT for putting everything in words and for making things so clear. Because I'm 28 and I didn't know this before. Okay, I think I've been operating on confusion and a different sense of definition. So I'm going to share my growth with you guys, and hopefully this helps you guys define these terms that has been so confusing to me and also used incorrectly in the way I grew up. Hey everyone. Okay, so let's start with forgiveness. And let me tell you why this has been confusing. Okay, so as a kid, a lot of the times, let's say you're fighting with your sibling or your friend in school, and in order to keep the peace, like let's say you're crying, okay, and an adult interferes. An adult interferes, your mom or your dad or your teacher, and they say, "Hey, the person who made you cry, like, apologize." And they apologize hesitantly because it's like they're forced to apologize. And you're forced to like forgive them out of survival so that you guys can coexist and act like nothing ever happened and never get real resolution and just sweep everything under the rug and pretend like everything's okay and go back to normal. So that's what I've always been familiar with, like the form of forgiveness, when people are like, just forgive them, like, or like, forgive them. But forgiveness doesn't actually mean that you're dismissing the hurt or that you're dismissing their actions and saying that their actions are okay. So I'm going to break it down for you guys because no one has ever broken it down from me. And that's why I'm so pissed. Like, I had to figure this out by myself by asking ChatGPT and also asking ChatGPT like how to do it, because a lot of the times I feel like I'm just like free forming it and like improving it and just, I don't know, just doing what I think is right and what I think I'm like learning. Okay, so this is the growth, guys. What I've learned is that forgiveness is actually for yourself. And you hear that all the time, right? Like you hear, oh, like you have forgiveness is just for yourself, like not for the other person. But then it becomes confusing too, because when people beg you for forgiveness, people are like, oh, Chelsea, like, please, like, forgive me, please forgive me. And you're kind of like forced to forgive them. Sorry, my hair was so good earlier, and now it's just a little cray cray. I want to get it. I want to get it back to how it was. Sorry, I know this is like a little tangent. But anyways, okay, so that's why it's also confusing, because I'm like, what is forgiveness then, right? Okay, so the definition of forgiveness is releasing the internal burden of resentment, anger, or the need for revenge. And it's not saying what they did was okay. It's saying, I'm not going to carry this anymore. So forgiveness means letting go of the emotional weight so you can be free. All right. So what forgiveness is not, okay, what forgiveness is not is it's not reconciliation. You don't have to continue the relationship just because someone apologizes and you forgive them. You don't have to like go back to how things were. Even after forgiving them. And it's not forgetting. It's not forgetting like what was done to you and dismissing your feelings and pretending like it never happened and giving someone a free pass. And it's not excusing the behavior. And how to practice forgiveness is naming the wound clearly, right? If you are able to self-reflect and be self-aware and just think for a bit, you can name the wound clearly. Like, oh, I feel hurt when someone punches me on my arm for no reason. All right, yeah, that I mean, okay. So you understand that I feel hurt because it feels unfair, like I didn't deserve that. Uh like it caused me physical hurt and shock and emotional distress. Um and it makes me wonder if I did anything wrong and I gaslight myself and all these things. So you can name the wound clearly and then acknowledge the impact, right? That, you know, this made me feel hurt, unsafe, disrespected, unseen, all these things. And number three, decide what you're releasing, right? Like, I'm choosing to let go of the resentment so it doesn't control me. Because have you always heard about this famous term when it comes to forgiveness? It's like forgiveness is like getting bitten by a snake and hunting that snake down, like constantly telling the snake what it did to hurt you and thinking that it's going to heal the pain inside of you if the snake like realizes that it hurt you. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you feel that hurt and resentment and anger, you're kind of drinking poison in hopes that the other person dies. Right? So you've heard this famous saying before. And so what forgiveness really is you're choosing to let go of this emotional hold that the situation or the circumstance or the unfair treatment that of the narrative that you have in your head of your experience has on you. And number four, detach forgiveness from the other person's behavior. So they never need to apologize for you to choose inner peace. Like someone who hurt you could deal with difficulty taking accountability, and they could never apologize, and they could never see that what they did was wrong. And sometimes that happens a lot where someone doesn't intend to hurt you, and sometimes someone's intention doesn't equal their impact, right? You're still hurt. And when you try to explain to them that it hurt you, they might be deflecting it because they feel like, well, that wasn't my intention. Like, I didn't want to hurt you, rather than listening and just apologizing to recognize your hurt. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, like, a lot of the times in your life, you won't get the peace from other people that you so want to get. You won't hear the words from people that you so want to hear. Like, this is off tangent, sorry. Going off that you won't hear the words that you need to hear. If you have a crush on someone and you think that how it'll release that crush, that feelings that you have for them is for them to reciprocate and tell you that they love you as well. But sometimes you're never going to hear that from them. So how are you going to deal with this feeling of longing, of wanting to be with them, of wanting that feeling reciprocated? Baby, sometimes feelings are not reciprocated, and sometimes people are not going to see your feelings and feel your feelings and reciprocate your feelings or even hold space for your experience. So I'm also just saying this just to say that's just kind of the fact of life sometimes. And we have to not necessarily be okay with that, but understand that that's going to happen in life. And it's a very universal experience, because everyone technically is living in their own experience and are kind of having their own unique point of view, which is also what's very beautiful about life. And then number five, this is the last step for the forgiveness, how to do, because a lot of the times I'm like, how do I practice forgiveness? Because I still feel this and like, it's like something that's not right and it's unacceptable. So how do I forgive them? Well, this is the last step, and I'll go through them all again, just so that like we're clear on each part and then we can move on. Number 5 is reclaim your power. Forgiveness is about freeing your energy and closing the emotional leak. You have a source, a life source. Your life is so precious. Your energy is so precious. You right now listening to this, being on this live with me sharing my thoughts, this is precious. This is the life, the one life that we get to live. This is the gift that our parents gave us. No matter what your relationship is with your parents, like your parents are also human and they are also navigating their life maybe with like confusion. Like they never had ChatGPT or Google or like the information that we maybe now had to be so emotionally intelligent and to articulate our feelings so clearly, right? Like our parents are human too. And if you really think about it, like I'm 28, right? Like my mom had me, I think at this age or when she was younger. And when I was younger, I didn't have all the answers and I didn't, um, yeah, I was not perfect. And I still am not perfect. I am constantly learning, growing, hence these videos. And I also want to kind of share something that I've had an epiphany with, but I'll tell you that maybe in another live or yeah, I'll do that in another live. But I had an epiphany about like getting married and like having kids, and it's huge for me, guys, because I've had so many questions around that for so long. Okay, anyways, let's go back to forgiveness, right? And go back to what I thought forgiveness was. I was wrong. I was very, very wrong with that kind of stuff and what it actually is. So, one thing with these topics, forgiveness, boundaries, and reconciliation, is to also know that they're not walls for connection. Like sometimes we think if someone set a boundary, and I'm jumping around, sorry, but like they can be powerful tools as opportunities for connection or reconnection. And yeah, and they can fluctuate too. Like healing is not linear. um they can fluctuate. Like sometimes you feel like you've forgiven someone, but then you remember what they did again and then it still holds emotional weight. So I guess it's a practice and you have to constantly like undo and reframe your experiences and try to move forward. um, yeah, just know that, human beings, changes happen. um, our understanding of things grow and shift with time and space. So going back to our forgiveness, boundaries, and reconciliation guide, um, forgiveness doesn't mean that you when you forgive someone, doesn't mean that you're saying, okay, what they did was excusable. When you forgive someone, it's not that you're saying, okay, we can go back to how things were. No, forgiveness is just forgiveness is to free yourself from the emotional weight of an experience that you had. So forgiveness is for you. It's not for the other person. A lot of the times, I know it can be some confusing because people are always like, forgive me. I hope you can forgive me. But I guess like that means that I hope that like they're trying to like heal you, trying to be like maybe it wasn't my intention to hurt you and I hope you can forgive me. Maybe what they're actually saying, and maybe I've been interpreting this wrong my whole life, is what they're actually saying is that they hope that you no longer harbor those emotional tightness and emotional resentment towards them because they don't want to cause that stress onto you. Yes, in this human experience, misunderstandings happens, hurt happens, especially with our loved ones, with people closest to us. And this is why this type of learning and emotional intelligence is so important because school does not teach us this. Do you know who and what teaches this? Life. Only life can teach you this. Only relationships can teach you this. And thank God, only ChatGPT can teach us this. Okay, so anyways, jokes aside, that's forgiveness. Okay. And how to practice forgiveness is number one, you name the wound clearly. All right. Just name it. Just be like, oh, I feel hurt when X happened. All right. And then number two, acknowledge the impact. This made me feel unseen, unsafe, disrespected. Okay. Number three, decide what you're releasing. I'm choosing to let go of the resentment so it doesn't control me. Yes, because sometimes we know these strong emotional pulls controls us, like it makes us angry, causes us stress, and that's not good for our health. And I'm sure the person who unintentionally hurt you doesn't want you to feel that way. Or if they intentionally hurt you, why are you letting them hurt you over and over again by thinking about it over and over again? It's not good for you, baby. Okay. And next, number four, detach forgiveness from the other person's behavior. Right? They never need to apologize for you to choose inner peace. Never wait on someone to give you closure, to give you peace, to give you the answers. Sometimes people will never be able to do that for you, baby. That's just the honest truth. And I know it's hard because uncertainty can feel so unsettling, confusion can feel so stressful. And a lot of the times we don't want to ask that person to. We don't want to open that line of communication because sometimes maybe they don't respond. Maybe they put up a wall and then we get hurt even more. So, number five, reclaim your power. Forgiveness is about freeing your energy and closing the emotional leak. All right. All right. We are all clear on forgiveness. Are we all clear on forgiveness? Because I'm going to move on to boundaries. Okay. All right. Loving the chat. I'm loving the people who's still here. Okay, next, boundaries. Okay, this is another one that I had misunderstood for so long. Sometimes when you hear that someone put a boundary on you, you think, oh, am I a bad person? Is that why they're punishing me? Oh, like sometimes when you put a boundary on someone too, they might take it and be like, did I do something wrong? Like, is this a punishment? And this is what I've come to learn too. Boundaries, don't take it personally. If someone set a boundary on you, it's not necessarily for you. They're just protecting themselves, right? Like if forgiveness is to free yourself, boundaries are to protect yourself. And a lot of the times people do them for themselves. Okay. And that's something that I also misunderstood because I'm like, it feels like boundaries are a wall, right? It feels like they're a punishment and it feels like you're grounded or something. But that's not true. Like a lot of these things, like boundaries can be a tool for connection rather than a wall for disconnection, because boundaries are basically just clarity. Like replace the word boundaries with clarities. That actually helps. That helps me understand a little better. Okay, so in definition, boundaries are the rules of engagement for how you allow others to treat you and how you commit to treating yourself. So boundaries equal your personal operating manual. And you might ask yourself, I've never thought about what my boundaries are. Okay, maybe because you were never taught to think about your limits. Maybe you were always taught to help others. Maybe you were always taught to think about what you can do for others and what value you can provide for others. But baby, you're also human. You have limits. You're mortal. We're all gonna die. We have this precious life. And to understand our mortality is also to cherish this life deeper. And the thing is, like all these things that I said, right? Like I never thought about what my boundaries were too. I never thought I had boundaries. I always, it's like, what are my limits? I feel like I have a high tolerance threshold. I feel like I can take a lot. I give a lot. I can help a lot sometimes. Like helping too much can be bad too. Like the more you help, the worse you make things. And yeah, I never really thought about boundaries. So whenever I hear people say boundaries, I think like it sounds like a wall, like it sounds like distance. But actually, it just means clarity. Like if someone tells you their boundaries, they care about you. They care about you enough to give you the clarity and to be transparent with you to tell you what they need, because someone can just like shut you. If someone like really doesn't care about you, they can just shut you out. They can ghost you. They can just cut you out of their life. But someone who cares about you, they will tell you like, hey, I like love that you're in my life, but I have limits, and this is how you can support me better. Great boundary. And you, as a friend or a lover or a family member, can listen to them, believe them, and say, thank you for teaching me what your boundaries are. Like, I will respect them and I will prove to you that I will not cross your boundaries and I'll honor them. And even if I make mistakes, like, I will learn from them. Okay. So, boundaries are your personal operating manual. They're not walls, they're clarity. So, there are a lot of different types of boundaries. There are time boundaries, you can set time boundaries with like coworkers, friends, family, what yada yada. And it sounds like this. I can only talk about this later when I'm grounded, or I'm kind of overwhelmed right now. I can't really have space to have a 2-hour conversation that's going to be emotionally heavy. Um, You know what I'm saying? So time boundaries is kind of like setting time, like, oh, like this is a 1 hour time boundary because I have something else to do in another hour, stuff like that. It takes into consideration your limits. And then next we have emotional boundaries, right? You have an example like that could sound like, I won't accept being spoken to that way, right? Like some people would say, and this is actually one of mine too, I really don't like it when people raise their voices and when they lose their temper on each other, because I feel like, and for the longest time, I just feel like anger hurts people the most and hurts other people the most. And I feel like it's such a like selfish emotion, which is not. Like, it's valid, and every emotion is valid and useful because it has information that contains that's embedded in them. um yeah, but sometimes there's emotional boundaries where if someone yells at you, you just won't accept that because you're like, oh, it feels disrespectful, and I feel like we could figure out a way to communicate without yelling. So that can be an emotional boundary. And there can be physical boundaries, like it can sound like I'm not comfortable with that right now. So physical boundaries can be like, oh, that hurts when you pinch me every day, or I don't like it when you trip me and I fall, like it hurts, like, so physical boundaries exist, and there's also value boundaries. And it sounds like, I don't participate in gossip or disrespect. And that's just something that, like you just won't partake in, and you're just, you know, reiterating it to people. And how to set boundaries, this is the to do, because sometimes it's great to know these things in concept, but sometimes you just don't know how to practically enforce them or how to practice them. So this is how you do it. Number one, identify what feels draining or unsafe. For example, like, I would consider myself a giver. Like, I love giving, it's just one of my love languages, and it just makes me feel useful. It makes me feel like I'm contributing, I'm of value, and I feel like it makes people happy. So I love giving. And sometimes I don't know my limit. As I said earlier, I just think I have this like unlimited bounds of energy, but that's not true. Like, I need to sleep 8 hours a day. I need to eat. I need water to survive. I am human and I still am, I have limits. Okay, so let's say if someone dropped like a really heavy basket of packages, and I want to be a giver, right? Like, I want to help, but I don't know my own boundaries and I don't know my limit, and I try to help them, but the package is just too heavy for me. So I try to help them, but I can't, and I still try because I don't know my boundaries and my limits, and then I break my back. So who's that helping? It doesn't help the guy who dropped the package. It doesn't help me because now I have a broken back. Now there's two problems. So knowing your boundaries protects you as as well as other people too. So you have to identify what your limit is, what feels unsafe, what feels draining to you, and it can also be like as little as a boundary, like if you're around someone who constantly gossips about their friends and you don't feel comfortable because you feel like they might be gossiping about you, then you can tell yourself, oh, like after that conversation I feel drained because I feel like I couldn't really speak my mind or be myself because I feel like I'll be judged all the time, and you're overthinking constantly, and so you feel unsafe, and sometimes feeling unsafe or overthinking things just drains you. So when you recognize that, you can decide your limit, right? So example, this is the ChatGPT example. If you raise your voice, I will pause the conversation. Okay, great. Emotional boundary. So you tell someone, if you continue to raise your voice in this argument, I'm going to walk away. Telling them like, this is not what my standards are. Like I'm not going to tolerate this disrespect. Okay. Number three, communicate it clearly and neutrally. Something that sounds like, here's what I need in order to continue feeling connected and safe. And a lot of the times people only express their boundaries because they want to continue feeling connected and safe with you. All right. Number four, follow through. Boundaries only work if you honor them, and yeah, you don't just like say these are my boundaries and then someone crosses your boundaries and you just like, oh well, okay, I guess. Like, you need to enforce these things because people who really care about you will want to honor and respect your boundaries. And then number five, no convincing, no debating, no apologizing. A boundary is a statement of need, not a negotiation. So, like, let's say your mom loves taking pictures of you, and let's say you don't want your picture taken for whatever reason, and you tell your mom, Mom, I don't want to get my picture taken, enough pictures, but she still forces you and takes pictures of you. She's crossing a boundary, right? Because she's not honoring you saying no. And that sometimes is tricky. Like, people will test your boundaries sometimes. I'm not saying that that happens. Maybe it does. I don't know. But yeah, in life, protect yourself. So honor your boundaries. And this is the helpful boundary formula. It's, I feel X, like fill in the blanks, when X. So let's say I feel tired when I can't speak freely in front of my friends. Let's fill in the blanks, right? And then for me to feel safe / connected, I need my friends to not interrupt me when I speak. Okay, if that can't happen, I will exit the friend group. Okay, so the formula is, I feel - when - for me to feel safe / connected, I need - if that can't happen, I will - Okay, so first you recognize how you're feeling when something crosses your boundary. That's how you recognize your limit. So you feel uneasy when someone crosses in front of you, like cuts in line of you when you're getting food. Okay, for me to feel safe and connected, I need that person to not cross in front of me. If that can't happen, I will tell them off. I don't know. Sorry, that was not a great example, but you understand the formula. The formula that I gave earlier with like the friendships thing is a pretty good one. Yeah. So it's like I feel not connected with my friends when they interrupt me when I'm speaking. For me to feel safe and connected, I need them to listen and not interrupt me. And if that can't happen, then I will have to find friends who will respect me. Something like that. Okay. That's a helpful formula. All right, guys. We're at reconciliation. This one's pretty straightforward. I feel like mostly forgiveness and boundaries is something that I never really quite understood growing up because no one explained it to me. But reconciliation feels pretty straightforward. It's basically when two people mutually repairing a relationship after hurt, with both sides showing willingness, accountability, and changed behavior. Accountability is also a big word for me. I feel like in the past 2 years, it's when I've practiced it the most, and my view on accountability and the power that it has also I've grown so much in that topic. Uh, that's another live that I will talk about the next time. But basically, the formula of reconciliation is forgiveness plus boundaries plus consistent action, right? And reconciliation is something that my boyfriend and I talk about all the time. It's like this relationship works because there's a willingness to repair. And once there's not a willingness to repair in a relationship, that's when it's likely going to end, right? Like, I think a divorce lawyer or like a therapist was talking about this, and they said divorces happen, and some of the symptoms to that, scientifically proven, is that people will start being very critical of each other and they will lose respect for each other. And usually, when that happens, I don't know, you just don't stay connected anymore. You disrespect each other, you say things you don't mean, you do things that hurt the other person. And yeah, and being critical of that other person is like everything that you see them do, you're just kind of judging them. And no one likes to feel that way. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so reconciliation. What reconciliation requires is acknowledgement of harm, right? Even if it wasn't your intention, you can still acknowledge the impact that you made. And that is so powerful to the person receiving it because at least they feel seen. And then genuine accountability is I see how this affected you, right? It's like you're seeing them and you're taking accountability, which is, if you don't know what accountability is, it's like responsibility. And you're just saying, like, I was part of that experience and I want to take accountability for it. And the repair is apologies, amends, change, behavior shifts, and lastly, rebuilding trust over time. Sometimes it's so difficult for someone to let you back into their life or kind of go back to how things were when the trust has been broken, and people need you to prove yourself again so that they don't feel like it'll happen again. Okay, so how to move into reconciliation. Number one, pause and assess safety. Is this a safe person to reconnect with? And number two, Share your boundaries first. If we choose to reconnect, here's what I need for it to work. Number 3, listen for genuine accountability, not excuses, minimizing the other person's experiences, flipping blame, defensive reactions, but ownership, empathy, and willingness to repair. And number 4, rebuild slowly and verify through consistency. Words open the door, but actions keep the door open. Number 5, stay attuned to how you feel. Reconciliation should feel safe, clearer, more aligned, more respectful. If it feels chaotic, confusing, or draining, then take a step back. So, the simple way to put it is forgiveness is something I do inside myself, and forgiveness frees me. Boundaries are something I do for myself. Boundaries protect me. And reconciliation is something we do together if it's healthy. And reconciliation reconnects us, but only if people show up, both parties. Cool. So I just wanted to share this with you guys because I just had some mind-blowing moments, and I hope me growing in this and learning about this has taught you guys something too. I think, the life that we live, a lot of the stress that really hangs on to us are from our relationships. And they always say that at the end of your life, relationships matter most. So, all these tools like forgiveness, boundaries, reconciliation, they all deal with boundaries. They all deal with relationships. So, I think they're definitely worth learning and digging deep, and they are useful tools for reconnection, connection, opportunities for connection, rather than walls for connection. And I think my paradigm on those topics have changed. My paradigms of these topics navigated the way I dealt with these things in my relationships. But now that I have a deeper understanding about this, I can navigate my relationships in a different way. And hopefully that my relationships understand what these mean too, because I'm starting to understand that, people might get defensive, people might um, take things the wrong way, people might have pride, and at the end of the day, people so are trying to persevere. They're trying to protect themselves. And I want to believe at the end of the day that people really just want to love other people, and they want to be loved, and they want to be looked at with love. So that's my 2 cents for the day. Thank you for joining me on this live, and I love you guys. Bye.